The smell of ash and chard would clung to Alina Taylor's clothes as she stared at the blackened skeleton of what had once been her cafe. 3 years of saving every penny, of waking before dawn to bake bread and pastries, of knowing every regular customer by name all gone in a single night of electrical failure. The insurance wouldn't cover even half of what she'd lost. "We salvaged what we could, miss," the firefighter said, handing her a small box containing her grandmother's recipe book, its edges singed but the contents miraculously intact. "I'm sorry there isn't more." Rain began to fall as Alina wandered away from the ruins, clutching the box to her chest. Her small apartment above the cafe was equally destroyed, leaving her with nothing but the clothes on her back and whatever she could fit in her purse. She had exactly $247 in her bank account. The downtown streets of Westbrook gleamed under the evening shower. Businesses closing for the day as people hurried home. Alina walked without direction, passing storefronts and restaurants until she reached the Central Park. She settled on a bench beneath a large oak tree, its canopy providing minimal shelter from the increasing downpour. "Are you hiding too?" came a small voice. Alina jumped, peering into the shadows to find a boy of about 8 crouched beneath the bench, his expensive-looking clothes soaked through. "I'm not hiding," she replied gently. "Just sitting. Are you lost?" The boy nodded, his eyes wide with a mixture of fear and embarrassment. "I was with Mrs. Porter. She was talking to her friend, and I saw a squirrel and followed it, and then I couldn't find her anymore." "Mrs. Porter? My nanny dad will be really angry." Lena smiled softly, extending her hand. "I'm Alina." "Your name, Oliver?" he said, taking her hand with surprising formality. "Oliver Cole." The name sparked recognition. Cole. As in Adrian Cole? The man was a legend in Westbrook, owner of Cole Industries, which employed nearly a quarter of the town, an infamous recluse since the death of his wife. Oliver nodded. "That's my dad." Lena helped him from beneath the bench, noticing how he shivered in his wet clothes. "Well, Oliver Cole, let's get you somewhere warm and call your father." They found shelter in a nearby cafe, not unlike her own had been in. The kind owner provided hot chocolate for the boy while Lena used her phone to call the number Oliver recited from memory. 20 minutes later, a sleek black car pulled up outside. The door opened to reveal a tall man with dark hair and piercing blue eyes that swept the cafe before landing on his son. "Oliver," he said, voice tight with what Alina recognized as relief disguised as anger. "What were you thinking? I'm sorry." "Dad," Oliver whispered, shrinking into himself. Before Adrian could respond, Alina stepped forward, just got a little turned around. "We had hot chocolate while we waited." Adrian's gaze shifted to her, assessing. "Thank you for looking after him, miss." "Taylor, Alina Taylor." Something flickered in his expression. "The cafe owner. I read about the fire in this morning's paper. Terrible tragedy." Alina swallowed hard. "Yes, well, your son is safe now." "Mr. Cole?" As they prepared to leave, Oliver suddenly turned back, throwing his arms around Alina's waist. "Thank you for finding me." The gesture seemed to surprise Adrian as much as it did Alina. She watched as father and son departed, never expecting to see either of them again. Yet fate had other plans, 3 days after meeting Oliver. Alina found herself in the back booth of a diner reviewing employment listings on her laptop. Her temporary housing at a friend's apartment would only last another week, and nothing in her price range was available in Westbrook's tight rental market. The bell above the door chimed, and Alina glanced up reflexively. Her breath caught when Adrian Cole stepped inside, his tailored suit conspicuously out of place among the diner's casual patrons. His eyes scanned the room before landing on her. "Miss Taylor?" he said, approaching her table. "May I join you?" Alina nodded, puzzled by his appearance. "Is Oliver all right?" Faint smile touched his lips. "He's fine. In fact, he hasn't stopped talking about you since that evening." Adrian settled into the seat across from her. "You made quite an impression. He's a sweet boy." "He is." Adrian paused, studying her with unnerving intensity. "I understand you're in a difficult situation after the fire." Alina's pride bristled. "I'm managing." "Of course. I didn't mean to imply otherwise." Straightened his cuffs, a gesture that seemed born of habit rather than necessity. I have a proposition for you, Miss Taylor. A proposition? Nanny, Mrs. Porter, is retiring next month. She's been with us since my wife's passing 3 years ago, but at 72, she feels it's time. Adrian's expression remained carefully neutral. Oliver needs someone who can provide not just supervision but warmth, guidance. Something more maternal. Elena frowned. I'm not sure I understand what you're suggesting. I'm offering you a position in my household, he said simply. Live-in. Caretaker for Oliver. Private quarters, generous salary, all expenses covered. You want me to be your son's nanny? Mr. Cole, I have no experience, no, he interrupted. Not a nanny. Oliver has had nannies. What he needs, what I need for him, is someone who can be more. Elena's confusion must have shown on her face because Adrian leaned forward, lowering his voice. Be my son's mother, Miss Taylor, and I'll give you the home you deserve. The words hung between them, startling in their directness. You want me to ... pretend to be his mother? I want you to fill a role that's been empty for 3 years, Adrian clarified. Oliver needs someone who will read him bedtime stories and help with homework. Someone who will bake cookies with him and teach him how things like empathy and kindness. Things, he hesitated, a rare crack in his composed facade. Things I'm not equipped to provide. This seems very sudden, Elena said carefully. You barely know me. I know you built a cafe from nothing. I know your customers describe you as the heart of the neighborhood, and I know you showed kindness to a lost child with no expectation of reward. His blue eyes held hers. That tells me everything essential. Elena stared at her laptop screen at the depressing list of minimum wage jobs that wouldn't cover rent. Dad! And what happens when Oliver becomes attached to me, and then I leave? Arrangement would be long-term, at least until Oliver's in high school. 7 years, she murmured. Consider it, Miss Taylor. Visit the house, meet Oliver again, then decide. 2 days later, Elena found herself standing before the Rotiron gates of the Cole estate, a sprawling property on the outskirts of Westbrook. The mansion beyond was built of stone and glass, beautiful but imposing as the gates swung open. Elena wondered if she was making the biggest mistake of her life or accepting the most unusual lifeline she'd ever been thrown. The Cole mansion was exactly what Elena had expected, immaculate, tasteful, and utterly devoid of warmth. Her bedroom suite, however, exceeded all expectations, spacious and elegant. With a sitting area, walk-in closet, and private bathroom that made her former apartment seem like a closet. This will be your space, Adrian explained, standing at the threshold, completely private. The staff won't enter without your permission. Staff, Elena echoed faintly. How many people work here? Mrs. Hudson manages the household and cooks dinner. Thomas handles the grounds and driving, cleaning. Service comes twice weekly, he hesitated. I wanted to maintain some normalcy for Oliver after Sophia died. It was the first time he'd mentioned his late wife by name. What was she like? Lena asked softly. Adrian's expression shuddered. Your responsibilities will primarily involve Oliver's after-school hours and weekends. I've arranged for you too. Have access to household accounts for any expenses related to his care. He turned to leave. Dinner is at 7. That evening, Elena met a tear-old Oliver properly. His face lit up when he saw her across the dining room. You came, he exclaimed, bouncing in his seat. Dad said you might live with us and help take care of me. Is it true? Adrian cleared his throat. Elena is going to stay with us for a while, yes? Are you going to be like my mom? Oliver asked, his directness startling both adults. Elena glanced at Adrian, whose face remained carefully blank. I'm going to be your friend, asterisk. She answered carefully. Someone who's here for you whenever you need me. Over the following weeks, Elena gradually integrated herself into Oliver's life. She discovered his passion for astronomy and his secret fear of thunderstorms. She learned that he struggled with math, but excelled at creative writing. Most importantly, she learned that beneath his polite exterior was a lonely child desperate for connection. Adrian remained an enigma. He left early each morning for his offices downtown, and often returned after Oliver was asleep. When present, he was attentive to his son, but maintained a careful distance from Elena. as though fearing contamination from her emotional openness. One evening, unable to sleep, Alina wandered into the mansion's library and found Adrian sitting. Alone, a glass of whiskey in one hand and a photograph in the other. "I'm sorry," she said, turning to leave. "I didn't know you were here." "It's fine," he replied, setting down the photo, not interrupting. Alina hesitated, then approached. Catching a glimpse of the Amiga beautiful woman with Oliver's eyes, laughing on a beach. Sophia. Adrian nodded once. "Today would have been our 10th anniversary. Alina sat in the chair opposite him. "Tell me about her." For a moment she thought he would refuse or dismiss her. Instead, he took a breath and began speaking, his voice low. "She was brilliant. Graduated top of her class at Stanford. Could have been anything, but she chose nonprofit work, helping refugee resettlement." A ghost of a smile touched his lips. "She hated parties but loved dancing. Could quote Shakespeare from memory, but secretly read romance novels. She sounds wonderful." "She was the best of me," Adrian said simply. "Without her, I'm—" He trailed off, staring into his glass. "Oliver has her eyes," Alina observed gently. "Her heart." Adrian looked up. "That's why I need you, Alina. I can provide for him materially, but I don't know how to nurture what Sophia gave him." "You underestimate yourself," she said. "I see how you watch him when he doesn't notice. How you keep every drawing, every school paper." Adrian set down his glass. "Good night, Alina." The abrupt dismissal stung, but as Alina returned to her room, she realized something had shifted. She had glimpsed the man behind the careful facade and found him more human, more vulnerable than she'd imagined. Spring arrived, transforming the Cole Estate's manicured grounds into a riot of color. Alina had been living in the mansion for nearly 4 months, and what had begun as an awkward arrangement had evolved into something resembling a functional household. Oliver flourished under her care, his shy demeanor giving way to occasional mischief and frequent laughter. The change in the boy was so dramatic that even Adrian commented on it one evening as they watched Oliver chase fireflies across the lawn. "I haven't heard him laugh like that since before Sophia died," he said quietly. Alina smiled. "He's a remarkable child. You should be proud. It's your influence." Adrian's gaze remained on his son. "You've brought life back into this house." The simple acknowledgement warmed Alina more than it should have. "I've only been myself. Perhaps that's what we needed." Their eyes met briefly before Adrian looked away. But not before Alina caught something in his expression that made her heart quicken. She told herself it was gratitude, nothing more. Yet she couldn't deny the growing awareness between them, a current that hummed beneath their polite interactions. One Saturday, Alina took Oliver to the farmer's market downtown. They were selecting strawberries when she heard a familiar voice. "Alina, is that really you?" She turned to find her former cafe assistant, James, grinning at her. "James, how are you? Better question is, how are you?" His gaze shifted to Oliver, then back to her with raised eyebrows. "Word around town is that you're living up at the Cole Mansion now." "I'm Oliver's caretaker," she explained. James's smile turned knowing. "Right. Caretaker? Must be quite the arrangement." "It's not what you're thinking," Alina said firmly. "If you say so." He winked, though Cole could do worse. "Anyway, I'm opening my own place next month. Nothing fancy, just a coffee shop. You should come by." "I will," Alina promised, unsettled. By the implication in his words, that evening after Oliver was asleep, Alina found Adrian in his study. "Can we talk?" He gestured to the chair across from his desk. "Of course. I ran into someone from town today. Apparently, there are rumors about my position here." Adrian's expression darkened. "What kind of rumors? The kind that suggest I'm not just here for Oliver?" Alina met his gaze directly. "It might be better if we clarified the nature of my role. Perhaps a formal title, like governess or guardian. Does it matter what people think?" "It matters what Oliver thinks," she countered. "And what happens when he starts hearing these rumors at school?" Adrian was silent for a long moment. "You're right. I didn't consider how this arrangement might appear to others." He rubbed his temple. "What do you suggest?" "I don't know," Alina admitted. "I just know that I care about Oliver too much to let gossip hurt him." "You've become very attached to him. Is that a problem?" Adrian studied her face. No. It's what I hoped for when I brought you here. And what about you, Adrian? Alina asked softly. What did you hope for yourself? The question hung between them, charged with unspoken possibilities. Adrian stood and moved to the window, his back to her. I hoped for Oliver to have what I couldn't give him. That's not an answer. He turned, his expression carefully controlled. It's the only answer I can offer. Alina rose from her chair, frustrated by his evasion. Good night, then, Alina, he called as she reached the door. When she looked back, something in his eyes made her breath catch. Thank you. For everything you've done for us. Double quotes us. Not him. The distinction wasn't lost on her. That night, Alina lay awake. Confronting a truth she'd been avoiding, she was falling in love with a man who had hired her to replace his dead wife. A man who saw her as a solution to his parenting deficiencies. Not as a woman in her own right. And yet, she couldn't deny the moments when his guard dropped, when his hand lingered near hers, passing a dish at dinner, or when she caught him watching. Her read to Oliver with an expression that seemed dangerously close to longing. Tomorrow, she decided, she would begin looking for another place to live, before her heart became any more entangled in this beautiful, broken family. Asterisk. The real estate listings blurred before Elena's eyes as rain pattered against the library windows. None of the apartments she could afford compared to the comfort of the Cole mansion, but that wasn't why she was leaving. She was leaving because staying meant living with a hope that grew more painful each day. What are you doing? Alina startled at Oliver's voice. The boy stood in the doorway, frowning at her laptop screen. Just looking at some apartments, she said lightly. Why? His voice rose in alarm. Are you leaving us? Not right away, she assured him. But I won't stay forever, Oliver. Do you know? That, but you promised. Tears welled in his eyes. You promised you'd be here. I never promised that, Alina said gently. You did. You said you'd be my friend whenever I needed you. His small face crumpled. I still need you. Dad needs you too, even if you won't say it. Before Alina could respond, Oliver ran from the room. She found him in his bedroom, face buried in his pillow. Oliver, she said softly, sitting beside him. I care about you very much. Then why do you want to leave? Alina struggled into the pillow. Alina struggled to find words a child could understand. Sometimes grown-ups need different things to be happy. You're not happy here? I am, but then... Stay. He sat up, eyes red. Please, Alina. Dad smiles now. He didn't smile before you came. His words pierced her heart. It's complicated, sweetheart. Grown-ups always say that when they don't want to explain, Oliver said accusingly. Dad says it too. Says what? Adrian stood in the doorway, rain dampening his suit as if he'd rushed in from the car. Elena's leaving, Oliver blurted. She's looking at apartments. Adrian's gaze locked with Elena's, something unreadable in his expression. Oliver, go downstairs and ask Mrs. Hudson for a snack. I need to speak with Alina. When the boy was gone, Adrian closed the door behind him. Is it true? You're planning to leave? Alina stood, crossing her arms. I think it's for the best. Why? The single word held more emotion than she'd ever heard from him. Because this arrangement isn't what I thought it would be, she admitted. It's become ... complicated. Complicated how? Alina gave a frustrated laugh. Don't pretend you don't know, Adrian. I was hired to be a mother figure to Oliver, not to. She stopped herself. Not to what? He pressed, stepping closer. Not to have feelings for his father, she finished quietly. Feelings that aren't part of our agreement? Adrian was silent for so long that Alina thought he might simply walk out. Instead, he said, I never planned for this either. For what? For watching you bake cookies with Oliver and wishing I could join you. For finding myself inventing reasons to come home early from the office. For lying awake at night wondering if you feel even a fraction of what I hear. He stopped, running a hand through his hair. I didn't expect to want more than our arrangement. Elena's heart hammered against her ribs. What are you saying, Adrian? I'm saying I don't want you to leave. He moved closer, close enough that she could see the flecks of gray in his blue eyes. I'm saying that what began as a practical solution has become something else entirely. And what about Sophia? Lena asked softly. Adrian's expression gentled. Sophia would have liked you. She would have wanted Oliver to have someone who loves him as you do. He took Elena's hand, and I think, hope she would want me to find happiness again. Are you happy, Adrian? When I'm with you and Oliver? Yes. He brushed a strand of hair from her face. Elena Taylor, I hired you to be a mother to my son, but I never expected you would teach me how to live again. Elena's eyes filled with tears. I'm not Sophia. I can never replace her. I'm not asking you to, Adrian said firmly. I'm asking you to be yourself, the woman who brought light back into our lives. The woman I've fallen in love with. You love me? She whispered. In answer, Adrian leaned down and kissed her, a gentle pressure that deepened when she responded. When they parted, he pressed his forehead to hers. Stay, Elena. Not as Oliver's caretaker, but as part of our family. In whatever way feels right to you. Small sound at the door made them both turn. Oliver stood there, eyes wide with hope. Does this mean Elena's staying? Adrian looked at her questioningly. Elena smiled through her tears, opening her arms to the boy who rushed into them. Yes, Oliver, I'm staying. Later that evening, as rain continued to fall outside, the three of them sat together in the library. Oliver had fallen asleep between them on the sofa, his head resting against Elena's shoulder. You know, Adrian said softly, when I made that offer to you in the diner, I thought I was proposing a simple solution to both our problems. Elena smiled, reaching across Oliver to take his hand. And instead I found everything I never knew I was missing. Adrian squeezed her fingers. Welcome home, Elena. Outside, the rain slowed and stopped, leaving the world washed clean and ready for new beginnings. Asterisk.